I was serving a 12-year prison sentence in Arizona. The reason why is irrelevant to the story. During my time there, a lot of unexplainable things happened. So apparently some years ago, an awful thing happened and nobody could explain it. So it's routine in the morning to be at the front of the cells so the guards can check we're all still there. During one of these routines around 2 years before I got here, something sickening and unexplainable happened. One prisoner who didn't share a cell, didn't look right. 2 guards spoke and went to have another look. What they saw horrified them. This man was wearing the skin of another man. It didn't quite fit and looked horrific. To make it even worse, this guy wasn't even a prisoner and had somehow got in. When they tried to figure out who he was, he didn't seem to exist legally, and the body from the skin that man was wearing has never found. An old inmate would tell everyone about skinwalkers, as it seemed that the prison culture actually revolved a lot around them. So, apparently skinwalkers are tricky to spot, but if you actually survive near one for more than a few minutes, you can tell the mannerisms are completely off. They are able to mimic human speech, but can't replicate it. They twitch like crazy. They've got an odd gait when walking, but apparently they could get better at it with experience. The old guy, his name was Craig, said he was sure there was one among the prisoners, slowly taking us all out over the years. He said it had human mannerisms down to a T, and that you might not even realize if it was your cellmate. He mentioned that you would expect a skinwalker to grab any opportunity to kill, but this one realized it had unlimited people to kill, and bided its time, as Craig thought. Loads of guys laughed about it, but more of them were on edge. People in prison tend to lose it once in a while and will eventually kill themselves. They would become distant for a while and not care about anything or anyone. No one liked to talk about it in fear of jinxing themselves. Like if they did, they would lose it next. I felt the same. I didn't know if it was people going nuts or an actual skinwalker, but I seriously didn't want to find out. Then there were nighttime occurrences. Fast, deafening bursts of sound echoed through my block all hours of the night, constantly. It sounded like nails scratching a chalkboard and foxes. Yet another thing everybody avoided talking about. Then there were the footsteps and shadows. The prison blocks were dimly lit at night with some lights hanging from the ceilings. I have seen the shadows move across my walls on a regularly, and there were no guards about. Once after waking up, there was a shadow of a human standing there, but my cellmate was out for the count. Everyone hated them footsteps. They were really scary. You wouldn't hear them that often, but when you did, they would run extremely fast. It was like they had wet, bare feet which slapped the floor. You could hear them sprint around the block at an insane speed. It was terrifying. The footsteps were the worst. I was eventually released about 3 months ago, but about 2 weeks before I was discharged, I thought it was my turn to face the skinwalker. My cellmate, who was also a good friend of mine, lost it, in the same way. So I stayed awake for a week straight. Except for a few minutes here and there, I was always extremely cautious. I woke up from a nap, and he was literally moving his body through the bars of my cell like a snake. There's no way you can get anything past your head through them bars, and he was coming back into our cell. On the day I was released, I didn't speak to him. I had made it out alive. I left feeling free. Walking along the fence to the yard, I saw my cellmate, still standing alone, and shook my head and looked across the yard for the last time, and I seriously wish I didn't. There, also standing on his own on the other side, was Craig, slouching over, staring at the other inmates and twitching like mad.